The escalating U.S.-China trade war. Origins, developments, and consequences. The current economic trade war between the United States and China represents one of the most significant geopolitical and economic confrontations of the 21st century. This conflict has escalated dramatically in April 2025, with reciprocal tariff hikes that threaten to decouple the world's two largest economies. Below is a comprehensive analysis of how this trade war began, its current state, and the likely consequences for both nations. Origins of the conflict. The roots of the current trade tensions stretch back to the first Trump administration, 2017 to 2021, when the U.S. began challenging what it viewed as China's unfair trade practices. These included intellectual property theft and forced technology transfers, industrial subsidies that created an uneven playing field, currency manipulation allegations, non-tariff barriers, limiting market access for U.S. firms. The Biden administration maintained some of these trade policies, but the conflict entered a dramatically more intense phase when President Trump returned to office in 2025 and declared trade deficits a national emergency under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977, IEEPA. Current escalation. April 2025. The trade war escalated sharply in early April 2025 with a series of reciprocal tariff increases. U.S. actions. April 5th. Implemented a baseline 10% tariff on all countries. April 9th. Announced 125% tariffs specifically targeting China, up from previous levels. Exempted some allies from higher tariffs after initial implementation caused market turmoil. Maintained existing Section 232 tariffs on steel, aluminum, and auto parts. China's response. Matched U.S. tariffs at 125%, up from 84%. Vowed not to escalate further but promised to resolutely counterattack if pressured more. Targeted politically sensitive U.S. exports like soybeans, sought to build an international coalition against U.S. trade policies. Sir, key battlegrounds, Sir der Chart Sir 1. Agricultural trade, soybeans. China is the largest buyer of U.S. soybeans, purchased $24.7 billion in 2024. Chinese tariffs have already created opportunities for Brazilian soybean exporters. U.S. farmers face potential devastation as China seeks alternative suppliers. 2. Technology and batteries. China supplies over 70% of U.S. lithium-ion battery imports. 145% effective tariffs, including previous measures, may price Chinese batteries out of U.S. market, could accelerate friends-whoring to allies like South Korea, but transition will be painful. 3. Industrial manufacturing. U.S. aims to reshore manufacturing lost to China, 5 million jobs since 1997. China's industrial dominance built on infrastructure and lower labor costs, $12 versus $30 per hour. U.S. manufacturing output has fallen from 28.4% of global total, 2001, to 17.4%, 2023. Sarche, likely consequences. For the United States. Potential benefits. Possible reshoring of some manufacturing jobs. Reduced reliance on Chinese supply chains for critical goods. Increased tariff revenue that could fund domestic tax cuts. Major risks. Immediate inflationary pressures could push inflation above 4%. Stock market volatility, seen in dramatic April 2025 swings. Job losses, 245,000 lost in 2018 trade war. Likely more now. Higher costs for consumers and businesses dependent on Chinese imports. Potential weakening of U.S. Treasury market as China holds $759 billion in bonds. CARE for China. Potential benefits. Accelerated development of domestic alternatives to U.S. technology. Strengthened trade ties with other nations. Possible political gains from appearing to stand up to U.S. pressure. Major risks. Loss of access to lucrative U.S. market. Total trade was $582.4 billion in 2018. 2024, disruption to export-oriented industries that employ millions. Pressure on Chinese economy already facing domestic challenges. Possible long-term decoupling from Western technology and investment. Global impact. The conflict has already caused major stock market volatility worldwide, shifts in global supply chains. As companies seek alternatives, opportunities for third countries like Brazil in agriculture, concerns about a broader global economic slowdown. Outlook. The situation remains fluid as of April 12, 2025. China says it won't escalate beyond 125%, but will retaliate if pressured more. U.S. maintains modification authority to adjust tariffs based on Chinese actions. WTO warns U.S.-China trade could decrease by 80% if tensions persist. Both sides appear to be digging in for a prolonged conflict despite economic costs. This trade war represents a fundamental reordering of the global economic landscape, with consequences that will likely reverberate for years to come. While there may be opportunities for certain sectors in both countries, the immediate impact appears overwhelmingly negative, particularly for industries deeply integrated across the Pacific like technology, agriculture, and renewable energy. The coming months will reveal whether economic pain forces a negotiated settlement or if both powers are willing to endure significant damage to pursue their strategic objectives. But you are free to give out your opinions in the comment section. Please subscribe, like, and share.